Hello. Have you ever sat comfortably at home, quietly discussing something, perhaps talking about buying a new cooker, and then a few hours later, out of the blue, you see a lot of adverts for cookers on your social media? Spooky, isn't it? Now, if you believe the only way that could happen is for your smart device to listen into your conversations and then sell the data to advertising companies, you're not alone. But is that possible? And if it is it likely? And if it's likely, is it actually happening? Well, I've been surprised, not surprised, and worried in equal measure by what I've uncovered. So stay tuned. Welcome to Grey Matters. Hello there, and welcome to Grey Matters, the channel that promotes the fact that the older generation still matters and has relevance, and which looks at issues that matter to the older generation. And I think this is probably an issue that matters to all age groups. Now, smart devices are responsible for many conspiracy theories, truths and half-truths, and sometimes completely false claims. So today we're going to look at those pesky devices like Alexa, listening into our conversations, and then we'll check out concerns that our smart TVs are recording details of the things we watch. And the result of fact-checking that really surprised me. So that's two things we're doing today, so let's dive in. Well, what about these smart devices listening into our conversations? I know many people, including me and members of my family, have commented that having had conversations about a certain topic, we start seeing adverts about that very subject, often within hours. And the assumption is that a smart device was listening and reporting back. Now, I'm going to use Alexa as an example because she really does listen. She's constantly listening, but she's listening for its wake word. And Amazon says that by design, audio isn't sent to the cloud unless the wake word is detected or you press a button. But here's the thing I didn't know. Wake word detection isn't perfect, and research has demonstrated that smart speakers can misactivate thinking they've heard the wake word when they haven't. And that'll result in conversations being recorded and transmitted. And get this, the US Federal Trade Commission itself acknowledges that and warns consumers that voice assistants can mishear something as a wake word and start recording unexpectedly. Now, that doesn't mean Alexa is secretly recording everything you say, but it does mean that the reassurance that only something deliberately addressed to Alexa can reach Amazon servers isn't quite right. However, if you're someone who strongly believes the opposite and says that it's definitely happening, I'm not here to convince you otherwise. I'm just going to tell you what I've been finding out. So, what's actually going on here? That mishearing means that the belief of what we say in front of a smart speaker can influence advertising isn't that absurd after all. And here's the twist. The system doesn't even need the literal words of your conversation. It could simply infer, this house is interested in whatever. And once that inference exists, the advertising machinery doesn't care how it was obtained. As for adverts appearing within hours of you having a conversation, I was intrigued to discover that there is published research specifically examining that phenomenon. A 2024 study surveyed people in the US, the Netherlands and Poland about advertisements that appeared to relate to conversations they just had offline. And here's where it gets interesting. 40% said the related advertisement appeared within a few hours, and 32% said within a day. So if you've noticed this happening, you're not alone. But that research was not attempting to prove the cause. So out of it, there's no evidence that the people that took part, their phones or smart speakers, caused any of it. Now, playing devil's advocate for a moment, there are two other more innocent reasons why this phenomenon occurs. One is the psychological effect that once you've talked about something, you're much more likely to notice it. Let me give you a real life example that you might well relate to. When my wife was looking for a cheap second-hand Fiat 500, we couldn't get away from them. We saw them everywhere. We probably passed loads before having those conversations about buying one, but never consciously registered them. And maybe that's what's happening with online adverts too. But psychology isn't the whole story. There is a less psychological suggestion, one grounded in tech reality, and that's that an advertising system like the one Alexa uses may already know a lot about you. It probably knows you're in a particular age bracket, that you live in a particular area, and maybe you've recently compared mattresses on a shopping site, or maybe been researching back pain, or perhaps someone in your household recently searched for bedroom furniture. Or the system knows you've visited a furniture website and it will have created or added to a profile it's made about you. Now this means you were already exhibiting the behaviour that the advertising system was detecting before you even had a conversation about getting a new mattress. Let me show you how this actually plays out. We start with your interests, then your online behaviour. Advertising algorithm predicts mattress interest, and then you see mattress adverts, and you'll notice it immediately because you've just been discussing mattresses, and it's back to that psychological effect with the Fiat 500. And this route doesn't require anyone to have listened to your conversation at all. There. So what do you believe? Now, I heard not so long ago that absurd claim that TVs take snapshots of your screens and send your viewing data back to the TV manufacturer, who then sells it to advertisers. Only it's not absurd. It's true. ACR, which is auto content recognition, is now widespread amongst smart TVs, including Samsung, LG, Sony and Vizio. And it has been described as taking screenshots or snapshots. That's a little misleading. What it does is periodically sample pixels and audio and turn them into a kind of digital fingerprint, which is then matched against a database of known programs and films and adverts and so on. What I found out though next really worried me, because periodically it's a little vague. Well, in 2017, the US Federal Trade Commission found that Vizio TVs were collecting second-by-second information about displayed video. And more recently, an academic paper reported that Samsung describes its ACR system as taking screenshots every 500 milliseconds and converting them into that kind of digital fingerprint. It almost feels like a personal violation knowing that surveillance or observation is going on in the background. Okay, let's just take a breath and consider what the TVs actually do with that data. It might go to the manufacturer's servers, or an advertising or analytics provider, or the manufacturer's cloud service providers, and there may be other places that get it too. That personal violation you might feel, I think, is compounded when you know that some TVs also capture data from external devices such as games consoles and computers, things that your children or grandchildren could be using. It feels like everything you do is under surveillance. And here's the part that really matters. There is solid evidence that what is effectively your data is being sold. The FTC's Vizio case found out that viewing information from millions of TVs was collected, and that Vizio sold that information to third parties, including for advertising purposes. Now I have to say, one question that springs to mind, bearing in mind topics that we've looked at on this channel before, is whether it's technically possible for TV licensing to use that data to determine who's watching live TV. Now, I went looking for evidence that this data could be useful to TV licensing, and I expected to find a technical reason why it couldn't be used. Instead, I found something rather more uncomfortable. It is technically possible. At least one current TV manufacturer's own privacy documentation says its viewing data can include whether content was watched live or later. And that brand is Vizio. Thankfully, I haven't found any evidence that TV licensing currently receives ACR viewing data, or any evidence that TV manufacturers routinely provide TV licensing with individual households and viewing histories. From what I understand, currently most of those, if not all of those, that ACR data can't determine like house level data like that. But who knows what the future holds? But let me give you some good news. You can usually fully disable ACR on your TV, but the setting is often buried, and as the name varies between manufacturers and even models, it can be hard to find. I've already disabled ACR on my TV, and if you value your privacy, I'd suggest you do the same. If you can't find the route to go, then maybe ask Copilot, ChatGTP or one of the other AI chatbots to show you how. It's also worth disabling interest-based advertising too. Now this all winds me up no end. I like my privacy, and the thought that these companies are taking this data basically without my knowledge. I thought it was rubbish that it was taking kind of snapshots of what I was watching. It's not as simplistic as that, but it's true, and that really wound me up. So that's it for now. Let me know what your thoughts are. Keep the comments coming. If you like the video, please share it and hype it and give it a big fat thumbs up, and of course subscribe. Big shout out to those viewers who've taken up the channel membership, and many thanks to everyone watching for your continued support. So until the next time here on Grey Matters, I'm off to unplug my TV. Thanks for joining us, and it's bye for now.